So hello guys, welcome into our new lecture. So in today's lecture we are going to study about class methods. So let me just create a simple class here. So using class keyword I am going to create a class here, and I'm going to create. Now we have to define our constructor, so we have to use def keyword double underscore init, and now we have to pass some parameters here. So let me just pass here some parameters like self is used to link our this constructor with a class, and let me take name here comma email. So now we have created a simple constructor, and now we have to assign variables. So self dot name is equal to name, and self dot email is equal to email. Now we had created a simple constructor here, and let me just take another function here. So this is our function. Let me just take another function using define keyword, and let me take this as student dash details, and I'm going to use self to link it with our class. And what we want to return, we want to return self dot name and self dot email. So whatever we will pass in our constructor, that will be returned through this function. So let me create object of our class. So let me just take object dash learn is equal to, so I'm going to take my class here learn, and in this learn class we have to pass two parameters. You can see that name and email. So let me pass these arguments here. So like my name Zeni comma, and email is equal to zeni@gmail.com. Now we had assigned these values, and let me just call my object here. So object dot, I want to call the inner function here. So object dot dash name dash email. So if I run it, we can see that we are getting the values which we assigned here. So now this is our previous method in which we studied the basics of classes. So in today's lecture we are going to study about that how can we create class methods, like without initializing this self keyword, how can we link our class with our functions with our class. So let us see this. Let me take another function here. Let us take this function again here, and this time we are going to perform some modification in our this function. So I have taken this class learn, and here where we had initialized our constructor, let me create another function here. So this is taking IAM as a details. So for details, and here I am going to use CLS. So CLS is basically used to bind our class directly with this our function. So let me just take parameter there, like earlier we had used parameter email, and now what I want to return. So what I want to return, I am using CLS method, and this CLS method, CLS stands for class. For this class I am going to take name and email. So now we have to decorate it to give it identification that it is a class method. So we have to use @ and then class method. Now our this function is converted into a class method. Now if we run it, and let me just run it here. So this time we don't need to create the method. Earlier we had to create the method here, like here we had created object and of our class, and that object we are giving the values, but this time we did not have to create the object of our class. So we can because this is a class method, so we can simply call it with the name of a class. So I am going to call our learn class here, learn1. This is our class using dot operator, and after dot we are getting details. Now if I run it, and let me just execute it, you can see that we are getting these errors that you are missing two positional arguments, name and email. So now here we are directly passing these name and email variables. Earlier we had to create object of our class, like we have to create object, and then in that object we have to pass the names of variables arguments here. So let me just pass here Ali comma Ali at the rate of gmail.com. Now this time we had directly passed our parameters. So how can we call it? We can assign this into a variable. So let me just take a variable here, code is equal to learn1, and now if we call this code here, so let me just call code dot, and if I now run details here, so if I run it, let me we have to just here we have to just pass the name here, and let me just call the name. So now if we run it, we are getting the name here, and let me just take code dot email, so we are getting the email. So basically here we did not need to create any object of class. We are directly calling our class using and then using dot operator with our class method to pass the values here. So we can also get a student details function as well, like code dot student dash details. So now if we run it, we can see that we are getting these values in our student detail function as well. So this is a basic example of class method. Like here we decorated our function using class method, and then we are directly binding our function with the class. We did not have to use a self keyword to link it with our class. We are directly passing our parameters, and then we are passing the arguments here to return the values for us. So basically what is happening here, we are basically overloading our methods. So let me take another example here. I'm just copying my previous code and pasting it here, and this time I am going to initialize a class variable. So my class variable would be mobile number. So every student have a mobile number, so I am going to take mobile dash number is equal to, let me just take number here like 9246. So this is our mobile number, and if I run it, now this is the part of our class, like this is our class variable, because it is not in any init or any function, it is part of our class variable. So how can we access it? We have to call our class here. So let me just change the name of class. Earlier we class learn2 here, and let me just call it here. So learn2 dot mobile number. So now if we run it, we are getting our mobile number here. So what if we want to change it, like if anyone wants to change his number, so how can he or she can change it? So for that purpose we have to define another class method here. So I'm going to defining a class method, define, and let me just change dash number, and this time I'm going to use CLS to link it as a pointer with our class. It is basically binding this function with our class, and let me just take parameter here mobile, because we want to change our mobile number. So what we want here, we want to change the class variable. So how can we call it? We are going to call it using the name of our class. So what is the name of our class? Our class name is learn2 dot mobile number. Now we had called our class and then the class variable, and for this we are going to like here we had called the class here. So I have to save this in variable. So the parameter which we had passed, we are going to use that here. So mobile. Now we had created our function to change number, and we have to convert it into a class method. So we have to use this decorator for class method. Now our function is converted into a class method, and let me just execute it again. And now we have our class, our learn dot mobile number is this same as that, but if we want to change it, we have to simply call our class. So our class name is learn2 dot change number, and inside here we have to pass the number. So let me just take number here. So I'm going to take this number and let me just execute it. So if I again call it here like learn to dot while number, so now this time you can see that we are getting our updated number. So basically here we had changed the value for our class variable using class method, as we can see that earlier its value was the value same as class it was initialized in class method, but we can change it using class method, and we can see that we are getting the changed value here. So what if we want to like return this mobile number in our student details? So how can we achieve this? So simply we have to earlier how we are defined here, same method we are going to call here, like learn our class name dot mobile number. So now uh, so dot mobile number, now it will return our student name, email and mobile number also. So now how can we access this function? So let me just there are two methods we can actually access it. Firstly we can create object of our class. So let me just create object dash ln. So this is our object, and here I am going to call our class here. So learn to dot student details. So we can see that we are missing position argument. So basically first we have to pass our values here. So let me just create a take a function here. So we are going to take function of details, and this detail function we are going to pass the name. So I am taking my name here, and I am going to pass my email id. So let me pass my email id here. So gmail.com, and now I had passed this, and let me just call this object here. So object dash learn dot student dash details, and now if we run it, we can see that we are getting our mobile number value here, like we are getting the name and the email address and the mobile number. So this is basically how can we call our class variables inside our functions as well. So there is another method. Here we had created object. We can also call this using the by creating the variable here. So I am going to create variable here like code 1 is equal to, so this is just my name of variable. So I'm going to call class learn to dot details, and here I'm going to pass some new name. So Ali comma Ali at the rate of gmail.com. Now we had passed our arguments here. So if we call this time using the variable, so dot student dash details, and this time if we run it, we can see that we are again getting values here as well. So these are two methods actually through which we can achieve this, and so you can see that these both are same. Actually I just missed it, so we did not need to call our details function here like this class method. We have to simply pass these variables using init constructor here. So let me just run it again. So you can see that it is now also running successfully. Here we are going to assign the values by creating the constructor, and here we are assigning the values by creating the variable. So here basically what is happening, we are basically overloading our init constructor by using this call method decorator, because this class method in this init constructor we have a name and email, and also in this class method we are also passing the name and email. So here we are just overloading it, and we are directly passing our values in our class method. So let us see that how can we link our external functions with our class. So let me just copy my previous code here and going to paste here, and let me just change the name of our class. So I am going to change name class learn3, and let me create another function which is an external function, it is not part of class. So like it is our course, let me just course dash details. So this is my function name, and this is a CLS. I'm going to just linking it with our class name, and let me I want to just print something here, so I'm going to call a print function, and this print function, you can see that here we are getting error, so we have to pass some arguments here. So let me just pass here the name of our course, so course dash name, and here what we want to print, we want to print that the name of course is comma course dash, so course dash name. So what is basically, so now this is our external function, and if I call my class here, so my class name is learn3, so learn3 dot, so I am using the dot operator here, and we will only get to see those methods which are the part of our this class, like this function, this function, this function. So actually my terminal is taking a lot time, so there is some issue on my terminal, it is taking some time to load 0 file in 19 cells, so it is little slow, but here we will just get those functions which are part of class. So how can we link this function with our class? So how can we link our class this function? So we have just copied the name of function using, and then dot operator, we are going to call name of class. Oh sorry, my actually spelling were not learn three dot. So we have to just use dot operator, and then we have to pass the name of function, and then what we have to do, we have to call here class object. We can call it class method here, we can also use this other than decorator, so we are going to directly call it here, and in this class dash method we are going to pass our function. So now if we run it, this function is now becoming the part of our learn3 class, and if now we call our class here learn3 dot, so we will get to see that this function is the part of our class here, that now this function becomes the part of our class. So actually there is some issue on my terminal, so it is not showing us the IntelliSense, but so here how can we call it, we have to just give the name of class, then dot operator, and then we have to pass the name of function, and this function we have to give the argument of the course name. So here what we have to pass, we have to pass the name of our course, so our course name is Python. So let me just execute it. So now you can see that this is going to print the uh, argument which we passed, because this is our function, and this function we have a print statement of the name of the course, and then the value which we passed in our function. So that's a basic example of linking our external function with our class using class method. So that's it for today. Please try to practice around it and use different other examples, and that's it for today. Bye, see you in next lecture.